Hi, and welcome to Cooking with Bae. I'm your host, Lindsay, also known as Animal-Based Bae. And here I cook animal-based meals and offer fun nutritional tips as well as cooking tips. So today we are making a hearty carnivore chili, something that is without the beans and also without spices. I lean more towards the texture vibe, offering various different meat cuts and also fun classic toppings such as shredded cheddar cheese. But here's a fun fact. Did you know that your shredded cheese can also have sawdust in it? So stick around and I'll teach you how to avoid that. So if you are loving these animal-based recipes, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you can get notified every time a recipe drops. This also tells me that you want more of it, and so maybe I can produce more of these recipes. So let's dive into the ingredients of what you will need for this hearty carnivore chili. Half a pound of ground beef, also half a pound of chuck roast. Again, going for different textures here. And you will also need about half a pound of, I chose a center cut loin pork chop because that's kind of what I had in my fridge. However, you can do bacon. You could also do bacon ends as well. So just getting that pork vibe and different texture vibe. Also, I have included heart. So this is optional, but this is what really makes a hearty carnivore chili. So I've included heart. It does not have any taste. Yes, it's an organ. It doesn't really have any taste that you would get with like a liver, something that consumes the entire dish. So it gives you that really nice lean texture vibe that I'm going for. Okay, then we also have salt. So we will definitely need salt, as that is the star of most recipes, right? Adds that flavor. And then you can do additional toppings. So anything you want. So I chose cheddar cheese because that is a classic. You can also maybe chop up some olives and put it on there. Maybe this is creme fraiche, actually. Absolutely love this, but this, you could use sour cream. You can do some sliced avocado. You can also even crush up some either plantain chips on top, give you like a little bit of a crunch texture, as well as some pork rinds too. So this is kind of fun, like a chili taco bowl almost. So you can add a little bit more flavor or just fun toppings if you like, and plus it would be fun for the kids as well. And also a secret ingredient that adds extra flavor, and I'll show you here in a few minutes. Okay, so let's dive into the prep work. First, I'm going to cube up my pork. Now, for those of you who are using bacon, go ahead and chop it up into bits. Bacon yields a really nice grease and bacon fat to grease the pan, so I just had a pork loin, honestly, so I just really wanted the texture and just the different flavor of the meat. So what you're gonna do here is just gonna chop it up into bits, because this is going to be the first thing that we sear and cook in our pot. And again, you can use a Dutch oven, you can use just a sort of a deeper slow cooked dish. Okay, so chop it up into nice bits, because remember, when you go to eat your chili, just think about the textures that you want to enjoy. You don't want them too big. So great. So sometimes you can get a nice pork with a bit more fat on it too. Like I said, it yields a little bit more grease, and that adds definitely some flavor to your chili. Okay, so now that we have chopped up our pork, we're going to start by putting this in the pan and getting that to sear. So again, since I chose the loin, it's a little bit leaner than like bacon or, you know, any of that sort of pancetta vibe. So I added a little bit of butter in here, but I want to go ahead and get a nice little crisp sear going, not to cook it all the way, because we'll start adding a bit more meat in there, just sort of adding to the pile. Okay, now while the pork bits are searing, go ahead and chop up your other meats. So this is my chuck roast, and I like to include chuck roast because it's an underrated cut of meat from a nutritional standpoint. It has really a lot of nice collagenous tissue in here, so good for hair, skin, and nails, ladies. and men too, you know. Anyway, so not only is chuck roast amazing nutritionally speaking, but it also saves you a few bucks because just it's a harder, I guess, meat to cook, or people really are just intimidated by it. I don't think it's hard because you just plop it in the crock pot and it's one of the most delicious cuts of meat I have ever had. So you want to chop it up really nice and then slow cooking it sort of with the other meats will get them nice and tender as well. So depending on the size of your family or the people you are feeding, I would just pretty much do equal amounts of meats. Here I have half a pound of chuck roast. It's half a pound of pork it's cooking. I also have half a pound of ground beef that I'm going to toss in there. And then for the optional heart, I am going to add about a half a pound of that as well. Okay, now that the chuck roast is chopped up into bite-sized pieces, I'm going to add that to the pork over there cooking in the pot. So let's go over there and dump these in. As you can see real quick though with the pork, come check it out. We have it a little bit brown, so that's gonna start giving you that flavor, which is super nice. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add the chuck roast. And I'm sort of doing this by how tough the meat is, meaning the pork actually was more for flavor, to get that real flavor, and since it's the most fatty, it also yields some grease, cooking grease, to cook all the other meats in. So the chuck roast I'm adding next because that's a little bit lean as well. Then we can come over here and take our ground beef. No chopping needed, very easy. You all know what ground beef looks like. We're gonna put this on the pot too. Just add that in there. Okay, so now I'm going to chop up the heart. This is really easy. Sometimes I honestly eat this raw, so don't be afraid to cook it. I'm just gonna chop it up into bite-sized pieces, and it's actually better when it is seared, but when we do sort of slow cook it, it's not a really long slow cook, but when we do, it's gonna tenderize it that much more. So for heart, where can you get heart, one might ask? Okay, well, it depends on where you're located. So there's multiple different avenues. You can go to your local butcher, local farmer's market. I tend to source mine 100% grass-fed, grass-finished, so that is a little bit more challenging, but you need to just, I guess, put forth a little bit more effort in order to find it if you're looking for quality. Other places, this I sourced from Shirttail Creek Farm, which has an online store, and then you can get it. I also source my heart from multiple places online, such as White Oak Pastures in Bluffton, Georgia, and I'll put all of these links down below too. So there's that, there's Northstar Bison. So heart is also super lean. So I chose pork because it is a little bit fattier, and like I said, it yields a bit more grease. These cuts, such as heart, chuck roast, and ground beef, that was an 85-15. I did it a little bit more lean for the reason because you don't want to have too much fat, then it just becomes super, super rich and not that enjoyable. Honestly, I get a little bit too full off of the fat. And then you can add in whatever you want. Say you wanted extra butter or sour cream or cheese, so you're adding, you know, additional fat sources. So I like to keep the base pretty lean and then be a little bit more control of how much fat I'm adding to it rather than getting just all fatty cuts of meat. All right, now we've chopped up our heart, so we will be adding this to the pot. Again, this is no need to be intimidated. This is a very simple recipe. Simply put, chop up a bunch of meat, throw it in a pot, and let it simmer. Here we go, tossing in this nice heart, putting the Hearty Carnivore Chili right here with heart. Again, very easy to source, does not have a crazy flavor. If you really want to up your primal game, add that heart. So I'm going to get this to cook a little bit more. As you can see, there's obviously some still raw pieces in here, so I want this to cook a little bit, and then I'll add in some liquid. So sometimes I like to get things done while things are cooking a little bit, like sort of set up my side dishes, though that will still take time to slow cook. But if I could do anything right now, it's shred my cheese. So Remember how I told you that shredded cheese can contain sawdust? Well, here's why you shouldn't buy shredded cheese. Cellulose is a common food additive and found in shredded varieties of cheeses. It is used as an anti-caking agent. Although cellulose can be found in most plant matter, when used in this way, in shredded cheese, it is either taken from wood, cotton, or waste from the production of plant foods such as oat hulls or peanuts and almond skins. So if you are going to source shredded cheese, I highly, highly suggest you start with the block and then shred it yourself so that anti-caking agents don't make it into your cheese. So always buy the block. Okay, let's take a look at the meat and all the meat juices in there, as well as there's some, you know, the heart. Like this is a good vibe right here. So what I'm going to do is going to add some salt, a couple pinches of salt here. Remember, you can always add salt later, so less is more. And then, remember I told you there was gonna be a secret ingredient, so here we go. Bones. Okay, so these I'm repurposing. I had a pork butt the other day that had a bone-in pork butt, so I'm gonna use this, as well as I was making my homemade bone broth, and still am. It's been almost 48 hours, but I had cooked one of these in the oven, so this is super flavorful. Bones and bone marrow adds tons of flavor. So this is the secret ingredient, and I'll tell you how you can acquire these bones. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in actually my my chili, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add a water, 1 cup of water here. So let's actually, it might be 1 cup since it yielded a lot of juice in there. I'm gonna do it till it's right about halfway up the meat and leave it at that. So it might be almost a cup and it might not. Go ahead and mix that in there. Now I'm gonna tell you what else you can use if you just don't have random bones handy. You can buy them at the store, okay? These are marrow bones. So these are canoe cut specifically, but even if you had the, I guess they're called cross-cut bones. These you can find in the grocery store, ask the local butcher, or again, I source mine online, which I'll drop links down below too. But honestly, I have a bone marrow recipe. Actually, you can see on my YouTube, it's really just plopping it in the oven and cooking it for like 20 to 25 minutes. And so that's how you get a little bit more flavor out of it. Or you can seriously just even take them raw and toss them in there, but I like a little bit more flavor. So there's a tutorial on that too as well. But anyways, this is the secret ingredient to adding even more flavor, again, without the spices. Okay, so you take your covered pot and you can go ahead and put it on a slow cooker. So this is my slow cooker of choice, and I'm putting it at 4, and so that'll start to reduce the juices. And I love this actually slow cooker. It's by 360 Cookware, and the base is really light. As compared to this one, I've had this one for years and I do love it as just a countertop at home, but it's really heavy. So this one's super light and I use this most days. And I use personally for myself, and if you have a partner or something, a 4-quart pot is like the best one that I get. So anyways, we'll let that cook for a few hours. When I picture this hearty chili dish, it radiates primal vibes. The bold flavors in every bite deliver a powerful punch, motivating me to physically pack my own punch. I discover empowerment in fueling my body with wholesome meals like this and channeling that energy into kickboxing. Okay, so our chili is done. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that off. Now, I recommend anywhere between maybe 3 to 6 hours, maybe even 4 hours probably minimum, just to really get all those juices together. And I'll show you here what it looks like. So as you can see, the juice reduced down just to a little bit, so just enough to really get that yummy flavor. And look, the bones, obviously the meat that was on there fell off the bone and into the meat. So when you get that bone marrow, this offers so much nutritionally, extra collagen. So this is just such a mouthful of nutrition. It's unbelievable. Anyways, so I'm gonna go ahead and scoop this out and put it into my bowl for serving. Okay, so you take your Hearty Carnivore Chili bowl and then you dress it up how you like, because otherwise it could look just you know, presentation wise, kind of boring. You know, you have like this same sort of color tone of different meats. So it's really fun to add to our flavorful toppings. So once again, since I did the work ahead of time and I shredded my own cheese, don't buy pre-shredded cheese. Of course, I'm gonna sprinkle that on, okay? Then if you wanted a little bit of crunch to it, I find that plantain chips or pork rinds are a great option, but I'm gonna add some plantain chips since I already have some pork in there. Again, this is all fun and could be unique to your style. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that crunch. And of course you can serve it on the side too. So there's some of that. And then again, I've been loving this creme fraiche stuff. But you can also add sour cream if you like, a dollop of that. And I'm gonna keep it pretty basic. I'm actually gonna add a little bit of salt. Who doesn't love some salt? Boop, boop, boop. And there you go. Again, you can add sliced avocado, even some sliced olives too, depends. And the good thing about cooking such a large amount is tomorrow it could be avocados and olives and all of those things and maybe crushed pork rinds on top. So I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy this bowl. And there you have it, Hearty Carnivore Chili. Super stoked to have this, especially this time of year. It's really cozy and it's so flavorful. And you saw how easy it was to make. Chop up a bunch of meat, toss it in a pot, leave it for a few hours, and you've got something so nutrient packed in one bowl. And you can mix it up with different toppings depending on the flavor of the day, right? So I also wanted to mention, you probably are seeing that something is missing. You are right. Troxy's not here today. She is at her friend's house playing. However, I'm gonna pack up a little bowl for her and have her enjoy it later because she can also have this dish and I'm sure her little doggy heart would love it. So if you are stoked to see more animal-based recipes, comment down below and then also subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell while you're there because every Thursday something fun is going to drop for you. Also, I have a holiday menu that's out. I'll put the link down below so that you can explore those options too and be festive with your food. So I'm going to enjoy this nice hearty carnivore chili. See you guys next time.